I am a 6'1" quarterback out of a small town in Kentucky. My dream has always been to play college football, and everything was looking just as planned until this big hit. With that hit sidelining me for the rest of my junior season, D1 schools wanted nothing to do with me. After almost a full year of grinding trying to get my knee back right, it is finally time for me to get back on that field. Can I prove everybody wrong, or is this going to be my last season? For my very first play, I decided to go with the read option. I go through the smallest little gap. I thought I had a touchdown, but he caught me. Now that I established a run game, I knew they wouldn't expect the pass, and I see my boy Hal wide open. And just a couple plays later, I see Hal once again on this very risky pass for a touchdown. Later on in the second quarter, I decided to try to go back to the passing game, but this time I'm gonna take a big hit. So I decided to fake the exact same play, and he almost got me again, but I break the tackle and I go for a 16-yard gain. Now we are in the red zone, and I see my boy Gio wide open for another TD. Then just a couple plays later, I'm gonna hit my boy Hal on this screen pass, and he's gonna go for another touchdown. And coach sat me out the rest of the game, even though I was having the best game of my life. But we end up getting the blowout win against an unranked high school team. And even with limited minutes, I gained some interest from some small D1 schools. Going into my second game, I start off with this huge run, and I thought I had a touchdown, but they ended up catching me. But just a few plays later, I try to force a pass, and the cornerback picks me off. I made it up next possession though by seeing the gap and running it for a touchdown. Going into the second, they was focused on my run game, so I hit him with a bomb downfield to Gio as he scores his first touchdown of the game. After throwing such a deep pass, I threw a short route just to confuse him. Then I threw another bomb downfield to Gio as he runs it in for his second touchdown of the game. We easily walked away with a big win, and even though I played great, Gio did as well, and he walks away with the player of the game. Going into my third game, I start off running the ball and had potential to break away, but I accidentally stepped out of bounds. Since I'd already established the run game, I tried to throw a bomb downfield, but left it extremely short. But just 2 plays later, I see a deep route wide open downfield for our first touchdown of the game. We return to the field with 48 seconds left in the second quarter. I throw this dot to take the 7-point lead. But with them quickly time the game again and the pressure on, I throw this perfect pass to Gio. And then the very next play, I throw another dot for a 23-yard gain. But even with those 2 big plays, we still fall short of a touchdown and have to kick a field goal. Now with the score being 17-14 and the ball back in our hands, I knew one touchdown would seal the game. With coverage being all over the field, I wrap around the right side and it's wide open for a touchdown. We end up winning this game 30-14, and I had the best game of my career. West Virginia, Virginia Tech, and Virginia all talked to me after the game, and I even got a scholarship from Vanderbilt. Even though I had no interest in going there, it was still great to be getting all this attention. Going into the fourth game, I decided to test this linebacker very first play, and he made me pay with a big interception. Then as soon as I get back on the field, the defense blows up the line and hit me with a big hit. But even with the defensive pressure they was getting, I managed to score my first touchdown of the game. At this point, I was starting to notice they was more worried about my passing than my running, so I made them pay with another big run to the right. They was continuing to shut down all my receivers, so I just kept making them pay with the run game. And just a couple plays later, I take the risk up the middle for another touchdown. Now with them actually having to focus on my run game now, they end up leaving a deep route wide open, and we end up getting a 55-yard gain. And because the playoffs are right around the corner, coach decides to sit me for the rest of the game as we win 44-0. And even though I played limited minutes, I actually received an offer from one of the best football schools in Kentucky. Heading into our 5th game of the season, we was up against one of the best defensive lines in the country. The very first play, they bust straight through our line and sacked me for a loss. Then just 2 plays later, I take another big hit in the backfield. Next possession, I knew the pressure was coming and tried to force a pass, but he jumps the route and gets an interception. I was so mad I tried to make the big tackle, but he told me to hit the weight room as he pushed me to the ground. I took that personal. Very personal. Next possession, I decided to show them exactly who I am. I seen the pressure quick and knew I had to roll out left. After barely escaping the safety, all I seen was clear field. But the corners noticed that quick and they come right back down the field to make a big tackle on me. My frustration just continued to grow as I get sacked for my 3rd time. On 2nd and 16, right after the sack, my offensive line finally gives me the time I need, and I throw this deep pass downfield to score the first points of the game. Next possession, I quickly realize the blitz is coming at me, and just as I'm being hit, I throw an absolute bomb downfield, and just like that, we are up to a 14-point lead. And after that, I seen my teammates and I get in a rhythm that I had never seen before. My line started holding up, my receivers were getting open, and I felt like the best QB in the nation. My confidence was at an all-time high, and with the playoffs right around the corner, it was the perfect time. For the whole rest of the game, we continued to move the ball up as much as we wanted, and there was nothing they could do to stop it. I ended the game with a big 460 276 passing yards, 34 rushing yards, 5 passing touchdowns, and 1 rushing touchdown. With 510 yards total, I broke the national record for the most yards in a single game. As I was walking off the field, I got stopped by not only Clemson's head coach, but Virginia Tech's head coach as well. They both said my game was super impressive and offered me a full scholarship. And that's going to be it for this episode. But coming up next episode, we're going to be in the high school playoff. Can Elijah Thomas and his team end off the year with the state championship? We'll find out next on episode 2.